All right. Good morning, everybody. It's Matt Allen here with the Allen Real Estate team. Thank you for taking time to watch my channel. If you're new here, please take time to hit that subscribe button, hit that bell. We really try to provide as much information about real estate and today mortgage in Central Florida. Today is a really great video I've got for you. I am joined by Danielle and Ted from Tomo Mortgage. Good morning, guys. How are you?
Doing well. How are you, Matt?
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Tomo Mortgage is a national mortgage company, but they're taking Florida by storm right now and doing some fantastic things. Guys, tell us a little bit about Tomo Mortgage and what you guys do and where you are, because that view is killer.
Yeah, so we're based in Stamford, Connecticut. However, we have offices in Seattle as well as Austin. And like Matt said, we are a national lender. So we do practice in other states that we are not local in terms of office space. We're consumer direct, purchase only. We really do want to make the home buying process easier. In terms of agent relations, that's something that's very important to us. We've been in production for about a year, but we want to cultivate that agent relationship and really fill in the gaps there.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. And that's one of the reasons I met you guys at the Tom Ferry network. They did a presentation down here in Orlando, and just very user friendly, very, great group to meet with, and their programs are very streamlined. And that's one of the reasons that I'm finding them very helpful when I've got buyers looking to get a mortgage quick. Before we kind of get started in the mortgage talk, I want to kind of give you an idea of what is happening here in Central Florida over the last few weeks or so. Nothing earth shattering. The market is kind of leveling off a little bit. And I want to say the reason for that has to do with school back in session. We get it back in school here a lot earlier than you guys do. And I think the last 2 weeks, the ORA numbers, the Orlando Regional Realtors Association numbers, are kind of flattened a little bit. We're still seeing some of the inventory continuing to increase, but not like it was, 3 or 4 weeks ago. Which brings me to the mortgage market. And tell me a little bit about what is going on, locally, nationally, whatever you guys want to share as far as what is happening as of today is August 16th, 2022. So
I think we've seen interest rates, and this could be a contrarian opinion, but I do believe at least for the year, we've seen interest rates peak.
Mm-hmm.
So we've seen them start to soften, which is great because, buyers can absolutely afford more. But more importantly, we've seen sellers come back to the table. For the first couple of quarters, yeah. I didn't see any seller concessions. I didn't see any discounts, but we're starting to see that. I think sellers understand that the party is over. And in order for them to make a deal, they have to actually make a deal again, and they actually have to negotiate. So
yeah. I totally agree with you. In fact, I just did a video last week on new construction. And it's so funny that new construction has just totally changed their tune. They're offering incentives. The commissions are back up to normal.
Yep.
They're doing a lot of things. What are you guys currently seeing as far as interest rates? Challenges with getting people approved once the interest rates have kind of been climbing and are kind of stabilized now, but are you having more people that are not qualifying or no. How?
I wouldn't say that. I think interest rates they still are. You'll hear this as a talking point often, but it's true. They are still
historically at a low. Yeah.
So
yeah,
weren't as low as it was, peak pandemic when we were seeing rates in the low 3s
or 2s.
And people are still qualifying okay for that.
And something really special about us is Greg Schwartz, our CEO, always says when they go high, we go low, which is the opposite of the saying typically, but meaning
Yeah.
that, we're going to help more people by having those competitive rates. So if you look us up on Bankrate, we're typically at the top there. We don't have lender fees. So that's saving you about $1,500 to $3,000 in lender costs. And the reason for that being is because our processors and underwriters are in-house. So not only does that cut down the time, but we're not outsourcing to have, those buyers pay for those fees. So with that being said, yes, obviously the monthly payment may be a little bit higher just given the rates. However, we're still very competitive compared to the industry standard. Today we were looking at about 5% in Florida with no points attached, but you can go as low as 4.875 with a buy down there.
And this is for a
Gotcha.
Conventional, W-2.
Right. And you're talking 30-year fixed. Is that kind of your
fixed about 500,000 per, 20% down, the vanilla situation.
Yep.
that you want
Yep,
there.
totally understand.
Yeah.
And that is one of the draws to Tomo Mortgage is the fact that they don't have those fees. And that helps when the mortgage, and that was kind of what I was alluding to with the interest rates going up. We were starting to see people dropping off, especially new construction. They weren't able to qualify.
Mhm.
They didn't have enough funds to close, things like that. And to be able to step in with somebody and say, hey, there's no fees involved. And you've got some very unique programs. Do you guys want to share any of your kind of unique programs that you have going on right now?
Of course. So first and foremost, we are running a promo right now. And this just, goes to our value, which is putting the buyer first, and that's $500 off closing costs. So that plus the no lender fees, a buyer should be able to save a decent amount of change. This is for closings prior to September 30th. Obviously, we're getting closer to that, but we are open-minded to running situations like that continuously in the future to help home buyers, during what's happening with inflation and obviously the rates rising. We want to do our part in making it an easier process. So that's one of the things that we consistently do, like I mentioned. And then we have our lock and shop program, which I'll have Ted go into a little bit more.
Right. So there's a lock and shop product. We weren't the first to invent it, but we definitely have one, and we're looking for ways to make it even more competitive. It essentially allows buyers to lock their rates prior to finding a home. And this was
prior to an accepted offer as
Right.
well. So literally while they
This
shop.
is huge right now. Can you just say that one more time?
you can lock your interest rate, so you will know exactly what your monthly payment will be prior to getting into contract and finding a home.
Yep.
And
So
how, I'm
it's-
sorry, go ahead,
I
Dan.
was just gonna say, so you can do it for 90 days or 120 days, just because, we're straightforward about our costs. The longer you lock it for, the less favorable the rate is gonna be. That is just a capital market
Standard mortgage
situation.
thing, right?
Yes, so anywhere you go.
Sure.
Industry standard from, just agent feedback, other buyers. I myself actually used to work for an online lender. The longest you can lock for is typically 90 days. We do it for 4 months, so 120 days.
Perfect.
This is really great for people that are anxious like me, who want to know exactly what they're getting themselves into, who can have financial security and a little bit of confidence in this process. And also, let's say someone has a lease that's not up for 4 months. Well, they know when that lease is over, they can shop with confidence. They don't have that anxiety. We've heard it say this is helping them leverage clientele because it does give that financial security. And, who doesn't love that?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. In fact, we talked about this program with one of my clients, and it's I don't want to keep going back to new construction, but it is very powerful in that because there's been so many unknowns with builder completion dates and material and things like that. It gives them peace of mind, where my client who actually just closed was on a roller coaster. 1 week it was 1%, 1 week it was another percent. And his monthly payment was literally changing $500, $600 a month based on where, it was almost like a gamble of where he's going to lie, at the time of closing. So, one other program, and I don't know if you guys are still, I'm sorry, go ahead, Ted.
No, I was going to say just timing a new construction perfectly
Right.
is, trying to hit a bullseye.
It's too impossible.
blindfolded.
Exactly. Well, something also very helpful that we do, and this is outside of lock and shop program. This is just the way that we handle new construction. So you can actually lock with us for new construction and new builds for up to a year. So
Okay.
and then they avoid those extension fees.
Oh, that's great.
When I was at that other previous lender, every time they got a pushback, it's like, obviously we want to help, but this is the builder's problem and delay. So you're going
Right.
to a builder concession to cover those
Yep.
extension fees. So again, longer lock period, you're not going to get today's rate at 5%, but it does give you some security during that year that you're waiting for completion.
Yep. Yep. Definitely. I know we're kind of going off tangent here, but you guys, one of the other things that, always stuck in my mind with Tomo was getting pre-approvals done for the resale. When we're submitting, and from a real estate standpoint, I've talked about this many times in many videos, and it's still holding true. Instead of seeing 30 offers on the table, we may be seeing 3 or 4 offers, but we're still in a competitive market, regardless of what people are thinking. Having that pre-approval or that, and I always use the wrong terminology, but getting them almost to the point of underwriting.
No, you're using the right one.
That's exactly,
Is that
that's something that is a strength. We've done trainings on how to strengthen offers for agents as well as for buyers. We want to set them up for success. So we do just typically our pre-approval is verified, meaning that Ted goes in, collects the documents. We see everything on paper because yes, first-time home buyers may not know to put net or gross. If they're self-employed, there's a lot of sticky situations that they can get in. So us looking at that from the beginning, we know if there's problems that are going to arise. He's looking at options A, B, and C to make sure that we have this covered in terms of closing. So we're able to see that paperwork and documentation. So that's one step of it. So he, goes in and gives a verified pre-approval. Most pre-approvals are pre-quals and
Right.
they're off of stated income, like the previous lender. So I was having to work with buyers because we didn't collect those documents. And it's really not a pre-approval. It is a pre-qualification because
Yeah.
it's there, but we're not technically looking at it and don't have the concrete numbers. And then we move into the underwritten pre-approval, which we offer. So that can take 24 to 48 hours. After Ted does his thing, we go in and we send it off to the underwriter, and you can waive the financial contingency at that point because we're giving them that approval from the underwriter.
That's huge.
Yeah, so to piggyback on that, the verified pre-approval, like as much as I like to think of myself as an underwriter for doing this for this long, I know I'm not. But it is really important that, we waste nobody's time in a deal. We don't waste your time as an agent. We don't waste your buyer's time getting them excited about buying a home to only find out halfway through the process, oh, you're actually not going to be qualified. That's a nightmare scenario. I'll never let that happen to anybody that I work with. But if our verified pre-approval is strong, but if you want to upgrade it, we get it underwritten. And we're able to issue essentially a credit approval, which means that the buyer only needs to get the collateral cleared, only needs clean title, appraisal, homeowner's insurance, and we'll be good to go.
Yep.
Yeah. Now that's awesome. And I think from a real estate standpoint, and that's with picking the right agent, picking the right person representing you. I think that goes hand in hand because if there's, you are submitting that offer with that type of approval and the listing agent doesn't understand that, they're not comparing apples to apples. So a lot of times I have to sit down with the listing agent and explain to them, look, this is a little bit different than, the guy who has the family that has the pre-qual letter and you haven't looked at anything.
Right.
So I think that's huge that you guys do that.
Yeah. And we're here for that conversation also.
Exactly. Ted always
call the listing
calls
agents.
it listing agents, make sure that they know they're a viable candidate, goes through that information and, essentially just having your back and the buyer's back.
Yeah. And not many lenders, will do that. They won't take the time to do that. So that's to your benefit.
So I know the answer to this question already, but what is the most important thing for you when choosing which mortgage lender you refer your clients to?
Besides me.
Oh, you're flipping the questions on me. Nice. For me personally, it's communication. So, and that's where Danielle shines and your team has been shining. I give you a name and I get updated on a weekly basis as far as what you've talked to them about and whatnot. And that's really important. Not only to me, I think to any agent is just having that communication to take it from start to finish. So,
Yeah, and that's what
oh,
we
go
want
ahead.
to fill the holes in. There's so many times where agents are left in the dark with the situation. So that's what me being the agent relations rep, and then Ted obviously as the LO, we want that streamlined, communication. I know that you love texting. I know that you love being updated. So we streamline that to the agent
Yeah. So I
preference.
can do 16 other things while I'm talking to
Exactly.
you.
If they prefer email,
Guys, I think
the way we
I
do it.
think your screen froze for a
Oh.
few seconds there, but you're good now.
Good now? Perfect.
Yep. That's okay. No, and I appreciate that communication. That goes a long way. And that goes both ways too. I want to make sure you guys are getting, communication from me as to what's going on, or for any agent for that matter.
For sure.
So just a couple more quick questions, then we'll end this. But we're here in Central Florida, but we're in Southwest Orlando, which is typically a higher end, higher purchase price, I guess is the better word for it. Average between probably 750 and about 3 million or so. Do you guys have any programs for that? We used to call jumbo loans. I don't know if they
Still
still
called
call
the
it
jumbo.
that, but
Yeah.
Absolutely. We do have a jumbo program. We're able to go, as low as 11% down. And
okay.
depending on a higher down payment, as high as a $3 million loan amount.
Okay. All right.
That's our highest. And obviously that is a pristine candidate that hits all those boxes.
Yeah.
There's going to be different guidelines and qualifying ratios, such as the debt to income, the loan to value, like you mentioned, minimum 11% for that. Credit goes into it. So there are certain things.
Along with reserve requirements, of course, but
exactly.
we do still have
Right.
programs.
We do. And, our jumbo program is pretty industry standard in terms of that. It is a riskier
Okay.
loan, so it takes a bit longer. That's more of a 45-day close. Not sure if we mentioned this, but our conventional is an average of 21 to 25. They get an appraisal waiver. Obviously, that's fantastic. We don't, twiddle our thumbs until the closing date. If we can close sooner, we're going to do that. So we want to close as
I
fast.
like that.
Exactly. Yes. Just because you're giving us a date, that's not the marker. We want to get it done. We want to get them that approval. We want to release that anxiety so that both you and the buyer can have a deep breath. And, that's our kind of motto, is to get it done quicker. And like I mentioned, we have the processors in-house, we have the underwriters in-house. So our back end is communicating very well. In addition to obviously our communication with you and the buyer.
Yep. Awesome. So from a buyer standpoint, there's a lot of information being emailed out. And I think you and I, Danielle, we talked about one late last week where a builder was offering a, would look to be a fairly substantial decrease in interest rates. That information is getting pushed to buyers as well. What things can buyers do? Well, let's talk about that interest rate. So it wasn't as shiny as it looked on paper. Tell me what after you read it, because I couldn't read it without my reading glasses as far as, and I lost attention on it. So
it's the fine print, and that's what it goes down to. We are very, and we don't have the hidden fees. So that's something we provide, that closing cost worksheet. We provide a loan estimate if requested. I urge buyers to get a loan estimate wherever they go so that there's no hidden fees. Per the CFPB, legally, they have to obtain a loan estimate 3 days after application.
right.
And also that is a legal document. So they can't add any lines of, service in there. So they're going to know the fees. Obviously on the non-lender fee side, the property taxes may change and whatnot. But I always urge buyers to go ahead and get a loan estimate. That way they know. But exactly like that example we were talking about in the fine print, there was a bunch of hidden fees. It looked like a shiny
Yeah.
object. It looked like those rates.
In the end, I think, what was it, like 5,000 or 6,000 for just a $120,000 loan? So,
It was, I want to say it was $1,000 per every 100,000 that was added to their cost.
oh, is that what it was? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and
So-
those price points were in the 400,000 or 500,000. So
Right.
that's a pretty significant increase in closing costs.
Yeah, and honestly, they really can't estimate what the rate's gonna be without collecting their documents. So that's another thing, is we're giving them an accurate depiction of their monthly
Right.
payment. Because we know how much they can afford, because we're doing that due diligence prior to actually getting them that pre-approval. You know, at the top of closing cost worksheets, it always says, obtain a loan estimate, these rates or costs are gonna be higher, in bold at the
Right.
top. So that's something that a buyer can do to protect themselves and look at their options. Something that's nice about us, there's no pressure. We want to be able to be a sounding board and a resource to both the agent and the buyer to communicate their options and let them know what paths. You know,
Absolutely.
there's a lot of times we'll send people to FHA because we morally think that that's the better rate for them and that's the better scenario for them.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's harder to get accepted, but if that's going to save them, you know, tons of money over the life of the loan, we have the interests in mind, their best interests in mind, essentially.
So what could they do? They could give us a call.
Yeah,
Essentially.
just give us a call. We'll open the conversation. We'll educate.
Absolutely.
So it's
And,
not.
and just so you know, guys, I'm going to include all your information down below in the description. Do you guys want to shout out a telephone number right now? Do you have one handy?
the man.
Yeah, I guess mine. Right?
Yeah.
So it's
Almost gave your cell phone
that's
for
214.
the millions that are watching today.
Right. So this is a
Yeah,
Ted
this is
Volynets
Ted.
with Tomo Mortgage, NMLS 49505. I think I have to say that.
Yeah.
And my phone
Yeah.
number is 214-617-2354.
Cool.
I like to think that no matter how much I want to, I'm never going to be able to do every loan in America. But what I can do is give good enough advice to everybody that I speak with, because even if it's not this deal today, it could be a different deal tomorrow, or it could be their friend's deal the next day.
Yeah.
So with doing that, with that in mind, which is like the team's mentality and the amazing technology that we're building, I really do believe this company is going to change the mortgage industry.
100%. And stay tuned because we can't talk about it now.
We can't say a word.
You'll hear about it through.
Come on, not on my station.
It is going to help just make the process so much easier for buyers. The technology we're bringing, plus, you know, honestly, the empathy that we have for these buyers, the mixture of that, it's going to be fantastic. And that's, like I said, that's truly our mission here, is to change the mortgage world as we know it and make it easier, not only for the buyer, for the agent. We all have one goal in mind, and that's to get to the closing finish line. So
Absolutely.
what we want.
Absolutely. Well, that's awesome, you guys. We'll end there. You know, I want to thank you for your time. If anybody has specific questions for Tomo, if you want to drop them down below, I'll get them to them. Or as I said, in the description, you'll have all of that information so you can reach out to them directly. Maybe we can do this again sometime soon.
100%. Whenever we can choose our subjects, maybe your followers and subscribers can put
Yes.
want to learn about, or
And they will. They're what's great is a lot of people are moving to Orlando. So, you know, I've noticed a lot of the questions are people, you know, looking to move here. So
Right.
I appreciate your time. Thanks
Welcome.
again, you guys. Thanks for watching. And we will see you on the next video.
all right.
Bye-bye. Hey, if you found this video interesting, you got to check out the videos over here. More information about real estate here in Central Florida. Thank you so much.